welcome ladies and gentlemen, my name is Juggernaut, and today I have a slightly different video than the usual. Namely, I've been doing the sort of chaos, relaxed end times thing, where I just, late at night when when I can't go to sleep and have nothing better to do, I play a bit of chaos and in Warhammer 2 Total War, and just basically work my way to sleep that way, if that makes sense. Anyways, and a couple of people have been enjoying that, and I'm happy to make them. I do it in my own time. It's not like it's coming at the cost of anything else on the channel, but it has brought to my attention, or has been brought to my attention, that nowadays Warhammer 2 is actually getting a bit of traction, and there's new people coming in due to various sales, free-to-play weekends, so on and so forth. And there's new people to the game that might want to learn a thing or two about the game, especially if they want to consider playing on higher difficulties. Thus, I thought I would make a quick little video showing all the newcomers how to cheese sieges. Now, I should probably define what that means first of all, and then get into the actual stratagem of it. So I'm going to take it step by step, very slowly, for people that, have recently bought the game or have never really done anything remotely similar to this strategy in their lives. So let's gamble our starting thing. Yeah, that doesn't matter, don't worry. We're going to be cheesing the hell out of the AI anyway, that this doesn't really matter. So, essentially, this is how to win almost any siege where you're roughly equal in terms of strength. Or, the enemy could be slightly stronger, but you can't beat a settlement with, like, a full stack like this. You can and you can't. It sort of depends on the quality of troops and so on and so forth, but essentially this is how to win a siege battle with minimal losses. If you count ammunition as losses, then, yeah, the game does, so but you know what I mean. Alright, I'm just delaying long enough. So, what you want to do is you want to put all of your army in an awkward-looking block like this. So, you basically want to put them in such a position that only one tower can shoot them. Reason being, towers are really, really tough in Warhammer 2 and in Warhammer 1. They're damn powerful, especially on high-level settlements, but we're not going to worry about those. No. So what you do need in order to pull off a successful cheese is some artillery. Now, realistically, one artillery piece will do. It's better if you have more because you can use them to take out enemy units at a distance, but realistically, realistically, you don't need more than one. So what you do is you target the tower with this, and you offer a blood sacrifice to the tower. Now, the sacrifice in this particular instance is going to be the Legendary Lord here. Though, that said, I've completely forgotten that the enemy can put crossbows here, so that's going to be a bit awkward, but we can kill those crossbowmen relatively easily enough. So, let's get this lady out of here, and may the cheese commence. So, what you're doing, basically, with this lord is running back and forth. That's all you're doing. He is going to take some damage, and this is the worst possible tower you can do this against, because it's a cannon, right? But even a cannon can be dodged. Now, you will see people like Legend of Total War and a few others of the really good Total War Warhammer players do this all the time, but again, this is sort of aimed as a slow, in-depth tutorial on why and what exactly you're doing for the new people that have no idea maybe who those guys are, or, generally have no idea what they're doing in the game. And that's completely fine. It took me about a year to learn what Total War is and how it works, essentially, back in, 2006, I think it was, when I first started playing Total War games. So that's completely fine. Don't worry about it, is what I'm saying. Now, stuff that I'm showing you here works extremely well with Britonia, and I've used this exact army to take out, like, everything that surrounds Britonia, pretty much, with just 2 artillery pieces. Well, another army like this, not this specific army. But I'm going to show you some principles that work for basically any army in the game, even if you don't exactly have artillery. So if you don't have artillery, what you can do is you can bait the tower like this with a lord and keep moving towards it while your infantry, you know, is getting the ladders out and preparing to storm the walls, right? Even if you don't have artillery. If you do, then obviously you do this until you knock out the tower, which is about to happen any second now. Come on. And that's it. Tower destroyed. Now, what you can do is continue to do this against the enemy crossbowmen and really any type of missile unit on the walls. The only faction that this sort of strategy of taking one legendary lord on horseback or otherwise, actually I think it's a little bit easier to do it when they're not on horseback, believe it or not. Well, it depends. When he's on horseback, he's a bigger target, but he's also a lot faster, so it's, you know, it's neither here nor there. Neither is really ideal. But the thing is, you want to keep moving like this, and there's really nothing special to the movement. It's just left to right, left to right. The timing of it, you're going to need to get a bit of a feeling for. I get the feeling I'm a little bit better at ×3 speed, because I had more practice like this than in ×1. But basically, you want to move, you want to change the direction when they fire, like when they start their volley. And if they're firing irregularly like this, there's not really much you can do. But here's the real deal. The reason you're doing this is you want to waste their ammo. Your lord might take some damage, and by the end of the battle, if the enemy has a lot of skirmishers, he might take a lot of damage. And that's fine. Because essentially what you're doing right now is you're doing a ton of damage to the enemy. They're just not aware of it, and perhaps you're not aware of it either. These skirmisher troops, when they run out of ammo, are utterly, utterly useless. And sacrificing your either melee specialist, or like your legendary lord, or your regular lord, to take out 3 or 4 enemy crossbowmen like this, is more than worth it. Right, because realistically, when the battle starts in combat, he will not be able to take out this many men. He will not be able to waste this much ammunition of the enemy. This is only possible if you do it like this. So, to that end, let's introduce another item of, or rather on the cheese menu. So, behold Bretonia's archers. Now, this is going to work slightly differently if you have lower range skirmisher units that are attacking the settlement with you, but the principle remains the same. Essentially, you do not want to fire head-on against the infantry like this. For one, they could outrange you against the missile infantry like this. For one, they could outrange you. Two, the walls here do provide some form of protection. It's not a lot. It's way less than in any other previous Total War installment, but it is some form of protection. Like, a lot of the arrows will hit the walls rather than the infantry behind them. You can defeat crossbowmen like this, but it's not advisable. What you want to do is you want to fire at sort of this angle. Now, some arrows are going to hit the walls here, but the vast majority are actually going to hit the crossbowmen. And you can see that in like 2 volleys or so, we've completely decimated this unit of crossbows, and partially this unit of swordsmen as well. So let's keep going. You can actually see the balance of power is starting to shift now as well, which is kind of scary that we've just begun and that's already happening. Right, and there you go. From that one unit using up all its ammunition, the balance of power actually did move, believe it or not. Yeah, I know. So, essentially, now that you've done that, you can move your troops in. Now, what this means at this very moment is that it doesn't matter what type of skirmisher troop you have, you get to use all their ammunition before the battle even begins. And this is really the ideal sort of siege/battle. Bear in mind, however, that this is probably not the most efficient and effective way of doing things. Maybe my troop positioning is a little bit off. This is a sort of general philosophy of how you should do things. All I'm saying is, yes, maybe Legend of Total War does it 2% better. I don't care. This works, alright? It's the same sort of philosophy. Basically what you're doing is you're using all your ammunition, and that's kind of the ideal scenario, right? Before the main battle is joined, you want to use all your advantages that you have. But this is not the end of the cheese. Oh, no. This is the beginning. You also want to keep these off fire at will, because they're going to use up more ammunition than they need to. It's a small little detail, but I'm trying to make it as efficient as possible, right? If you don't do that, it doesn't really matter all that much. Good. So, what are we going to do now? Let's say... Right, the trebuchets need to go up a bit, because I want these to take out the enemy artillery. Now, the artillery over here, especially in fort sieges like this, but in generally in siege battles, artillery will be in the town square, and it's kind of an easy target depending on what you're playing as. You can kill it with magic, you can kill it with spawned units, you can kill it with artillery of your own if you can outrange it. Currently, I do believe my trebuchets outrange them. 440 versus 450. The Great Cannon does not outrange, or the Great Cannon does outrange my trebuchets, but the mortars do not. But anyways, I have more firepower, so yeah. Oh, and if you're wondering if you can cheese the artillery the same way, absolutely. Artillery is actually really bad at hitting small targets. You can absolutely cheese them, but considering we're the attacker, we can also use up all of our winds of magic before actually anything happens, right? Before the actual battle is joined. So I'm not going to do the entire thing on camera because it is a little bit dull and it is a little bit gamey, and yes, I will completely understand if you think something like this is stupid and you're not going to do it. It's a glitchy / cheesy way of doing things. Yeah, it is. But, you know, it is what it is. If you're playing on higher difficulties, if the settlement garrison is just too big for you to handle, via legitimate means, you can use at least a part of this to your advantage. I'm just giving you the option. I'm not saying that everyone should do this. Play however you want to play, etc., etc. Now, with that out of the way, okay, we'll stop firing. You can actually shoot over the walls ridiculously effectively. So, you see this Empire Knights unit? Yeah, I don't want to see it anymore. You can easily fire over the walls. But like I said, I'm not going to show the entire thing on camera because it gets a little bit dull. It's not the most exciting thing to watch. But so long as you're attacking, you can do this. If you're defending, the AI tends to be more aggressive and they won't let you do this. But you can do this as long as you're the attacker. You can do this in certain field battles as well. You can send a lord forward and have the enemy waste their ammunition on it, but that's not the purpose or the focus of this video. What I mean is, you can actually do this with the artillery as well. They don't have that much ammo, and yeah, you can absolutely waste it with a lord and dodge everything. So, let's see, what do I want to do now? I suppose, like, this lightning thing would kill the knights? But generally you want to use the cheaper spells because they're more cost effective. Like, ultimately you'll get more kills out of cheaper spells than throwing down big effective ones. Again, it depends on a variety of factors, but this is the case most of the time. I think this is the range of the cannon. I think. Pretty sure that's the range of the cannon. Anyway. Let's... Ooh, actually, cannon's going to be obstructed. Let's find a way to not obstruct it, I think. We can do that. Well, we can do that off camera. Now is not the time, perhaps. Let's take out this Empire Knights unit. There you go. Now, sometimes your troops will do this, and they're going to run towards the enemy. Just pull them back. Pull them back in position. There's always an angle to shoot over the walls, and it's really, really simple. Now, Juggernaut, what if I'm playing as the Vampire Count and I don't have any artillery or anything? Well, the principle remains the same. You can send the Lord forward to waste the enemy's ammunition and dodge with him, but Vampire Count specifically is like I think the only faction in the game that doesn't have any range ability whatsoever. you have Vargeists, so you can take out the enemy archers and stuff just by flying them into the softest of enemy infantry. That's an option, and you have like some of those powerful magic in the game, so, you know, quit complaining. Obviously, I'm joking, but yeah. Again, this is not a specific guide, this is more of a general philosophy, but some of the specific things are just camp in the corner, artillery in the back, lord forward to dodge, and you can destroy enemy towers. But this is, again, not the end of the cheese. Let's say you do everything right. You use up all the ammunition of the archers, you use up all the ammunition of the trebuchets, and the enemy garrison is still very powerful, and you just don't have the means to take it. Well, you can withdraw. Obviously, if the campaign map situation is a little bit more complicated than just withdrawing, you might have some issues like attrition, or there's another enemy army nearby, or so on and so forth, but 99% of the time, you can simply withdraw and nothing bad will happen. Quite the opposite, in fact, a lot of good things will happen. Next turn, you're going to be able to attack the settlement again, and guess what? You're going to have full ammo. But in 99% of the time, you're going to be able to do way more damage to both the enemy units and the settlement garrison. So both like if there's an army in it and the settlement garrison itself, then they'll be able to replenish. So there you go. You can also snipe lords extremely easily like this. And, like, when fighting someone like the Vampire Counts, that's just basically the Siege 1. You do need to do some damage to the garrison as well, but, like, sieges against Vampire Counts are ridiculously easy with stuff like this. I mean, generally against anything, they're easy, because the leadership penalty is quite severe when you take out a lord. So yeah, there you go. One piece of advice, though, is if you're going to snipe a lord, it does take a bit of ammunition. Do kill him, because if he withdraws, well, he can't withdraw, but if he withdraws and stays, like, in the town centre, you're not going to get much out of that. And most of the time, he's going to come back to his original position, though, it's truth be told. But in general, if you're going to take out the lord, do not wound him and let him live. Take him out permanently. Because if he dies, the debuff on the troops stays for the duration of the battle. If he flees, it's just a temporary debuff, so that's some piece of advice that you might be able to use, but overall, I think that's more or less it. This has been how to cheese a settlement siege in Warhammer 2, and it's damned effective. I mean, this is literally unbeatable. The AI cannot do anything, and it works on all difficulties, especially well on Legendary, because, you know, the AI gets a ton of cheats, and you want to use all these exploits to your advantage. You more or less have to, basically, but yeah. Anyways, that's about it. Thank you for watching. I'm going to wrap this up now, and yeah, there you go. You don't have to waste all of your men attacking walls when there is a more elegant solution, let's say. My name has been Juggernaut. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've learned something, and I hope you found this useful. Until next time, have fun, take care, bye-bye. Oh, and by the way, yeah, here's the siege done. Haven't even attacked the walls. Just use the trebuchets to knock out the artillery in the back. The cannon was obstructed because of the walls, so you can just move on. Again, it'll depend a lot on the type of artillery you have, and hell, you can even do this without artillery as well. It's obviously going to be less effective, but it's not a prerequisite to have artillery, that is. It's just more of a philosophy of how to do things, but yeah, there you go. Bye-bye.